one of the biggest things that we forget, whether you're preaching or teaching or whatever it is, we often forget the original audience.
Yeah.
And I think that this forgetting the original audience often unhinges people from a solid interpretation and a logical one,
Yeah.
right? And,
Yeah.
and I think a case in point is you got to know that vision in 40 through 48 and 37 of Ezekiel was for his audience. And
Wow.
so the first question is, how would the audience have responded to that vision? So that's one really important thing. I mean, it sounds basic, but it's very important.
Yeah.
Because people come unhinged in their interpretations there.
Mm, mm.
UFOs in chapter 1 would never be considered, if you are, and also thinking biblically, theologically. So you're
Yeah.
thinking the original audience, and the original audience is so far removed from such a thing as UFO. So anyway, I think
Yep.
that a few other things to think about too is the prophets in general. People often forget that the prophets use creative language and a lot of subgenres. So they have woe oracles, they've got salvation oracles, they've got judgment oracles. And as a result of that, the prophetic voice, they utilize a lot of figures of speech.
Mm.
So we have to wrestle with those. But I think one of the biggest, I don't want to say problem, but the biggest challenge is that people forget this, that the prophets speak using heroes and institutions of a former age as types that are going to be renewed and actually enhanced in the age to come.
Yeah, it's so good.
Right.
Yep.
So there's in their world is twofold.
Yeah.
Good old age with the temple, David, the priesthood, the presence of God. And then when that collapses, they're waiting just for one other age. That's the
Yep.
hope of restoration. And so it's kind of a twofold thing. And that's really important for us to remember as interpreters, that was their world view. So they're speaking of the old age and of the kingdom of God in this new age to come, and the reshaping of the new is really a reshaping of the old, is what it ends up looking like. And you see that right in Ezekiel. I think one other thing that is really important, and I'm sure you've come across this, but with the prophets in particular, is people forget to define terms. And I think it is really important for us to define Israel. So Israel in the Old Testament, Israel in the New Testament, and modern day Israel are all very different. And if you don't have that perspective, then I think we have all kinds of crazy interpretations about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Be there.
Yes.
So,
No, it's amazing how basic it sounds, but you're right. We just forget that. So ironically, your first and your last pitfall to avoid are connected. It goes back to remembering the original author, original audience, and we have to. This is where imagination actually plays, I think, an important role in our work. Is it imaginatively putting ourselves through research, obviously, not just by make believe whatever we want to believe, but the best we can by engaging with the ancient material and being able to put ourselves into that spot, not imposing on it. Just, oh, Israel. I know someone from Israel. They eat this cereal. I bet Ezekiel ate that cereal, And it's like, okay, wait a second, hold on.